Aș vrea să vi-l introduc pe primul vorbitor. Este vorba de Donald Seymour, este de la IBM, este Worldwide Sales Leader IBM CE, este consultant de business american și din 2010 deține poziția de Worldwide Sales Leader pentru IBM, Europa Centrală și de Est. Este locat în Praga, Republica Cehă. Don Seymour, după ce a absolvit un MBA în IT Management, s-a alăturat IBM în 99 și a fost responsabil de dezvoltarea soluțiilor pentru toate brandurile software ale IBM pentru servicii financiare. Clienți au fost companii gen Fidelity Investments, State Street Bank, Prudential Insurance, Bank of America, Charles Schwab Investment, United States Department of the Treasury, Federal Reserve Bank of New York și mulți alții. De când este locat în Praga, preocuparea sa principală este pentru Business Process Management și lucrează cu toți partenerii IBM din Europa Centrală și de Est pentru a oferi acces la resursele globale ale IBM, laboratoarelor de software care dezvoltă și creează soluții noi. Preocuparea lor este constantă în a dezvolta conexiuni de calitate pentru rețeaua de parteneri globali și de a dezvolta soluții inovative pentru clienții IBM. O să-l invit alături de mine pe Donald Seymour. Vă rog să-l întâmpinăm cu aplauze.
Thank you very much. Thank you. Oh, great. I got to say, I did not know what to expect when I accepted Ashraf's, my colleague from IBM, his invitation, his offer to speak with you today. I had no idea it was this many people. I had no idea it was people at such a high level in business throughout all of Romania. So I'll be honest, I'm a little intimidated by the room here. So I'm going to try to raise my game a little bit and meet your expectations. So today I have 20 minutes. I'll try not to use more than that to talk about operational excellence through BPM. Forrest is going to wow you with lots of great methodology and techniques. I just want to simply introduce the idea, some of the ideas that we're going to be talking about in much more detail today. Okay. The idea of how to use the clicker. Maybe I'll get some advice here. This button right? Okay. Okay. Perfect. Okay. So this will be the only slide where I actually talk about IBM, the company that I work for. So at IBM, when we start to work with customers about BPM and customers are considering a journey in BPM, we talk to them first about their industry and performance indicators in their industry. We try to get a sense of where are they on their journey. So in the example I have up here, if you were an insurance company, we would talk to you about indicators like where are you in terms of being able to attract and retain customers. And we would talk to you about revenue per customer. Now, many customers are very interested in how they perform against these measures, but they may not know exactly where they perform. So we start first by talking about what's the benchmark, right? What are some of the best companies in these categories against these performance indicators? How are they doing? And then we talk about, ways in which BPM could be able to help them improve against these metrics. And so when we think about operational excellence, we think of it as, first, it's a philosophy. It's a philosophy of leadership. Leadership at the top level of the company saying, we are going to strive to improve in particular areas. And then we talk about what areas they are. And we use these benchmarks to help give us some guidance in terms of where we should focus. So if operational excellence is a philosophy of leadership, then BPM is really a discipline. If operational excellence is where the company should be going, then BPM is really discipline that helps everybody who works at an organization understand how they're going to get there. So let's take a look at how Gartner describes BPM. BPM is a discipline that treats processes as assets. And these assets, they drive enterprise performance, and this performance contributes to operational excellence. So you should have expectations from BPM. You should expect, if you take a journey using BPM to achieve operational excellence, you should expect improved visibility. And visibility has several attributes. You should be able to see the process. All participants in the process should be able to understand where they are in the process. They should be able to understand the entire end-to-end process lifecycle. But the next most important thing is it's really crucial for you to accept, and it's accountability. A journey with BPM to achieve operational excellence will change accountability within your organization. So just a quick show of hands. Who here has adopted BPM and is well down the path towards using BPM throughout their organization? Okay. Who has not started? Okay, so we're all somewhere in the middle. Okay, but this adaptability idea, this expectation for BPM, is it will change how people do work. It will change who is responsible for work. It will change who owns processes. It will change how work gets done. And this is an uncomfortable aspect of BPM, but necessary. And lastly, it's adaptability. This is the holy grail for companies. We need to be more adaptable. We need to be able to respond to the needs of the marketplace or customers more quickly. But in order to do that, again, you must change the mindset. You must adopt a more collaborative approach across your entire enterprise. There's no longer a distinct line between business and IT. If you're taking the BPM journey, then you should expect that you will have to work in a more collaborative manner, and that your work is never done. It is never done. Continuous improvement is a philosophical foundation of BPM, and therefore, if you accept that, your work is never done. I'm sad to tell you. Okay. So quick look back on BPM. If we just look back 100 years, take a look at where we've come from, right? Frederick Taylor and his time motion studies. Mid-century, Toyota picked up on Albert Deming's total quality management, became famous. Moved to the latter part of the century, things like Six Sigma, Lean, SOA. All of these things are variations, I believe, on a very constant theme. And that theme is continuous process improvement, sustainable process improvement. How can we see what's happening? How can we measure? And how can we make decisions about where we should make improvement and how should we prioritize that work? But now let's take a look at what's next. What are the next challenges that we face and where BPM can play a role in helping us? Okay. So the typical problem we face today, as I see it in the work that I've done with customers, there's very distinct organizational boundaries between business and IT. There's not really a good way for business and IT to really communicate effectively. Sometimes they seem like they work across purposes. The business says they want things done quickly, but IT understands some of the implications of types of changes that business might request to processes. IT can have a better view of the end-to-end process, whereas the way business is organized into departments, they may be responsible for a particular application or a particular stage of the value chain They may not be able to see the entire process. IT might be constrained, as we just heard, the idea that we'll forever be asked to be doing more with the same or even more with less. How? How can we do that? How can we do that today when we have outdated platforms that make it difficult to achieve reuse, that has a knock-on effect in terms of our ability to maintain our existing applications and processes effectively, to get the best, most productive use out of our employees and existing assets. All right, so in the interest of time, the next slide, if you could see it, shows processes broken up into 3 categories. Just go, it's animated, so go a couple times. Here's the more, I think, to me, interesting and more challenging problem that you face. The last slide about the existing challenges are well known, well understood, and I think that BPM plays a role in creating a foundation for better communication and collaboration. And that's all well and good. But as I see it going forward, the types of process challenges that you're going to face are not going to be the kind where it's going to be easy to automate these processes, right? We've already spent 100 years figuring out how can we automate processes. And for the most part, many of us have started on that journey. We've made some progress on that journey. And frankly, there's not many processes left that even have the potential for full automation. That means 0 human involvement. Most processes fall into the category of either part of them can be automated, but not all of it, or none of it is repeatable. Very little, if any of it, can be automated. Those are what we call human processes. That's why we have humans involved in those processes, because we cannot define in advance all of the rules, all of the decisions, all of the outcomes. So the challenge as I see it is, how are you going to make your workers more productive? Not necessarily the work more efficient, but the way they work together more productive and more collaborative. Did it go? Okay. Next slide. Okay, so it works. Okay. It's user error. I'll get the hang of it. So as I see it, BPM provides this bridge. BPM provides this bridge, but if it's going to bridge this gap today between business and IT, if it's going to allow you to make your workers more productive, you're going to have to consider the impact on how you work today. If today IT owns processes, if today IT decides which processes are going to be enhanced, what the delivery cycle is going to be, how long it's going to take, what some of the priorities are, okay, in the future, in order to be successful with BPM, you have to change the mindset. Business owns the process, not because they're better than IT, but because it's up to the business to understand customers' needs, and ways in which the process that supports, whether it be internal or external customers, way in which the process needs to support the needs of customers. IT has a specialty as well. IT is specialized in things like integration, data, different technologies. And so IT should be left to focus where they are strong. But the bridge, the communication bridge, is having a way in which business and IT can look at the same information about a process, understand it in the same way, and understand what their responsibilities are once they decide what they want to do. make a new process, enhance an existing process, what the priorities are in terms of timing. At the same time, the business has to be able to have more control over those changes. They have to be empowered to be able to make some of those changes. And I'm not talking about a Wild West where the business goes crazy and starts making all kinds of changes, not consulting with IT. I'm talking about business making changes where they have the ability to do it, they have the ability to understand the impact of the change, and they have the ability to collaborate with IT around how best and when to then deliver that change into production. Okay. So, in my experience, oftentimes when I'm brought in to talk with customers, it tends to be IT, and IT tends to look at BPM not as a discipline or operational excellence not as a philosophy, but they look at it as a project, they look at it as a tool. And I'm here to tell you that BPM, while there is a technology element to it, it's more mindset, it's more discipline, it's more philosophy. It's more about embracing the idea of continuous change. It's more about leadership. Where are you going to lead your organization? And if you're going to be going in a direction, then it makes sense that your top leadership, your CEO, your CIO, top management, all adopt and embrace the idea of BPM so that others in the organization are empowered to embrace it as well and to behave in a way that's consistent towards taking your organization towards operational excellence. When I have come into companies where only IT is talking to IBM about BPM, I'm immediately a little nervous that maybe the business doesn't know that IT has this idea of BPM. I'm immediately a little nervous that maybe it can't be successful because the entire organization is not on the same page. I'm immediately nervous that the initiative could fail. Frankly, I'm nervous that IBM could bear some responsibility for not encouraging business and IT together to come to a shared decision for BPM if operational excellence is their strategy. So I would encourage you, if you're IT, bring your business colleagues into the discussion. If you're a business, go down the hall and talk to your IT colleagues, see what they're doing, what they're thinking about BPM, but most of all, go into your boardroom. If you're not already the board member, go into your boardroom and ask, is this something we're thinking about doing? Is this something you support? Right? Do I have your commitment that when things get tough, when we work through the challenges of business and IT conflict, do I have your support and commitment? Because that would be essential. Okay. So other than some of these thoughts, my last piece of advice to you is if you haven't already started, and some of you haven't, start. Start doing something. Start talking to your colleagues here who've already gone down the BPM path. Start talking to them about their experiences, what they liked, what they didn't like, what they wish they could do differently. Open yourself up to a mindset change about business IT collaboration, not business and IT separation. Start small. I mean, I hope you have big thoughts, big dreams towards operational excellence. I hope there's a 3-year plan, a 5-year plan. But if you're just getting started, start small. Start really, really small. Get some success, get some experience. Add capability over time. And I think in the end, this will not only make you more successful, but it will also help you manage your total cost of ownership over the long term. Okay. Thank you very much. I'm very excited to have a chance to speak with you guys, hopefully as the day goes on. And I'm very grateful for your time. Thank you.